Standard form is given as this form, ax plus by equals c. And now, there's a reason that a, b, and c are capitalized. And that reason is these are going to be integers. Okay, so you cannot have fractions or decimals. The what? I will as soon as I'm done going over this. Okay, so you can't have decimals or fractions at all as your coefficients when you write something in standard form. Okay, so in order to put something in standard form, a couple conditions have to apply. You want to write it in this order. The x's followed by the y's is set equal to the constants. Okay, and I'd like you to make the x's positive. Okay, it's not a requirement necessarily, but it puts everybody on the same page so that all the forms will be the same. I want a to be a positive number. And so whatever you have to do to change that to a positive, and it might involve changing the sign of every single term, okay, that's what I want you to do. Okay, so what if we are going from slope-intercept form and converting it into standard form? Okay, so here's what you would do. So we'll go through an example, and I'll talk through the steps of what you're doing in each. Okay, so let's say we start with this equation. So here's your equation in slope-intercept form. If you want to convert this into standard form, the first thing you need to do is get rid of all fractions. And you need to make every coefficient an integer. So what could we multiply every term by to get rid of all our fractions here? 3. Okay, and so if we multiply each individual term by 3, okay, so step 1 is get rid of all fractions. Okay, and you can do that by finding the least common denominator of all the fractions involved, and we'll talk a little bit about that too. Okay, but you just multiply across. So our first step would give us, and just take each individual term. So y times 3 is equal to, what happens when 2/3 is multiplied by 3? The 3's cancel, leaving just a, now remember it's 6/3. You can either think of 6/3 as being 2 or think of the 3's canceling. And then minus 7 times 3, 21. You need to multiply every single term. Okay, and then you need to move this so that all the x's and y's are together on one side with the x's being positive. Okay, so there's your second step. Is you're just going to then write it in standard form. Second step, you could do one of two things. You could move the x's over, so if we subtracted a 2x from both sides, we would get negative 2x plus 3y is equal to negative 21. And then in order to change this so that the leading coefficient, is a positive number, we're just going to change the sign of every single term. So we change this to a positive 2x, to a negative 3y, and to a positive 21. So this would be your standard form for this given equation. And now you could have also moved this 3y over and the negative 21 over in that same step and then reordered them. You do have to put your x's first, followed by y's, followed by your constant. Okay, so it's probably easiest just to get it into this form as quickly as possible and change the signs if you need to. Okay, what happens if you do something like this? Let's say here is your slope-intercept form, and you want to write this in standard form. Step 1, get rid of your fractions. What do you need to do to get rid of your fractions here? Multiply by 12. The way to find your LCD is take the larger of the two denominators, and then just find multiples of that denominator until it happens to be a multiple of the other one as well. So start with 4. Is 3, or is 4 a multiple of 3? No, double it. 8. Is 8 a multiple of 3? Triple it. 12. Is 12 a multiple of 3? Yeah, so that's the number that you're going to multiply by. Distribute that through. You get 12 times y. Now, when you multiply 12 times 1/3, or divide 12 by 3, what's left? 4, so you would get 4x. And then here, when you multiply, or multiply 12 by negative 3/4, the 4 cancels with the 12, leaving a 3. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. So you can simplify, get rid of all your fractions. And so the last thing you need to do is move everything to one side, or move all the variables to one side. So we get a negative 4x plus 12y is equal to negative 9. The final step is to change the sign so that your leading coefficient is positive. And so the way to do that is just go through and change each individual term's sign. Okay, what's the LCD? Okay, so easiest way to find the LCD, take the largest number, 8, and then just take multiples of that number until it happens to be a multiple of the other one as well. So is 8 a multiple of 6? No. Double this. 16. Is 16 a multiple of 6? No. Triple it. 24. Is 24 a multiple of 6? Yeah, so there's your LCD. Distribute that through. So you would get 24y is equal to, 8 goes into 24 how many times? 3 times negative 3 is a negative 9x. And then 6 goes into 24 4 times. 4 times 1 is 4. So here's your integer values for your coefficients. And now you just rearrange them. So we move the x over. We'll add a 9x to both sides. Write our answer, 9x plus 24y is equal to 4. And it's written in the form that we need it. The leading coefficient is positive, and so that would be your acceptable answer.